I'm really happy with where we're at. Obviously, just been through a lot with, the injuries and everything, but could not be more proud of this group and the resiliency. And I think we're playing really good basketball right now. I think we're playing really together, sharing the ball really well. Obviously, didn't play well against Michigan State, but besides that, this stretch has been good and figuring out how to play with this group together and had a really good performance on defense and offense up at Northwestern. And now we have another big one tomorrow night against Purdue where, we got to have that same urgency to start the game and hopefully, continue to have that defensive intensity, which has set the tone for our offense to get going. We had 50 points the other night in the first half. Hadn't had that in a while. So hopefully we can just continue playing basketball that's very together and just defensively and rebounding. I've just been really, really happy, again, take out that Michigan State game.
Shauna, despite the obvious negative of Mikaira and Gretchen out for the year, has this stretch, since that's become a final thing, brought a clarity of roles and an ability to go forward in that way?
I think so. It was a tough stretch for all of us to kind of wrap your head around, and especially for me as the leader, okay, we're not going to have them, right? So you kind of have to get through that. And then I think, after that Minnesota game, I think everyone just is like, okay, they're not playing, they're not. So you still continue to play. And everyone just has really just embraced their role and stepped up in their role and taken on more. And sometimes, no one likes to only play 6 or 7, but sometimes when you can just go out there and play. And, I mean, you can make mistakes. I can't really bench you. Let's just be honest. You can kind of play with a little bit more freedom. And I just it's been really enjoyable to coach the last, how many games, just because I just am so grateful for how much they're pouring in to one another and into their belief and their resiliency. When something, adversity has happened, we've really just stepped up and I'm really, really proud of them. So we got a long ways to go. We got a lot of hard games left, but we just take it one day at a time and try to be the best versions of ourselves in that day. And for the last couple of weeks, we've done that pretty well, besides maybe one game.
Shauna, I feel like at various points in the last year, we've asked about starts the other way and being kind of slow. So what's unlocked for you guys to come out and maybe get some of those early punches?
It's funny, Joe, because I was looking, and we've had our best starts the last couple of weeks on the road. We came out on fire at Indiana. We came out on fire at Northwestern. Even Iowa, we got down early. So I don't know what that is. That's an interesting kind of, trend that we've had. Michigan State obviously just wasn't our day, and just they're good, and we couldn't match up with what they were doing. But I think we've put such an emphasis on our starts and our first quarters dating back to last year when we struggled with that. We know that, I talk to them all the time about coming out in the first battle, which is the first 5 minutes, and really, us being the first ones to punch and to really be in attack mode and set the tone with the urgency and the intensity defensively. And I think we've just kind of, we've bought into that, and we've done a much, much better job. Our first quarters have been good. Our first battles have been good. And then the last probably 3 weeks or so, we've gone back to our fourth quarters, where in practice, every day we have a scrimmage with the fourth quarter, and I give them a different scenario, in that last 4-minute battle, if we're up, if we're down, and then we play out that, and I think that's really helped us. That was after the Minnesota game where and that was on me. I did not do a good job in the fourth quarter. We didn't execute well at all, and we should have had that game. So really being intentional in that fourth quarter setting. So really kind of working on the first and that last battle, the last probably month or so.
Shauna, obviously Barry and Jazz you brought in because they're talented, but what have you learned about them in the last month or so since they've had to step up?
Yeah, I think that's the two that you really have, reaped the benefits of some injuries. Because again, if you have a couple more players, and I just know me and probably a lot of other coaches in the country, when you have someone that's a freshman or someone that's younger and, they haven't they had that sweat equity of you kind of know what they're doing and that trust where if they do make a mistake, maybe you pull them a little bit quicker, where now they've just really been able to play through a lot of things. And to be honest, they haven't really made a lot of mistakes where I'd even want to pull them, but they've really just stepped up. They're confident. They're playing both at a really, high level in their own way to help this team. You can see them daily getting more confident in practice, and then you can see them every game getting more confident. Barry obviously has had a couple of really big games. She had that sequence at Indiana, that 5-point stretch in the fourth, that she just didn't look like a freshman. The confidence she had to take those shots and to make those shots was really, really impressive. So they've been huge for us, and we're going to continue to need them to continue to step up their game as we go through this last stretch of Big Ten play.
Shauna, I know last year you referenced with Makaira just maybe impacting the game by facilitating maybe when her shots aren't coming in, but for Jen too, maybe have you just seen that development from her, and maybe that facilitating can unlock other parts of her game as well?
I think you're spot on, and the more I just keep evaluating and rewatching our games that were, I just finally got, because I jumped right into Purdue after Northwestern, and I just finally this morning rewatched the Northwestern game and kind of broke that down. And she's just playing with such great patience, and she's seeing the floor really well. She's thinking facilitate. She's picking her spots of when we need her to score, when we need her to just run the team. And that's a new role for her, really. She's getting to the free throw line at a high rate, which she hasn't really done in the past. Usually we're running her off stuff for threes. She's just scoring in a variety of ways while also really, again, running our team, getting us set, getting us into to offense. And I think we're being very intentional, even probably more so than last year with running offense. I don't think we're taking as many quick shots, which sometimes they're great when you make them, but then when we don't make them, a lot of times they're runouts for the other team. So Jen's growth and how she's really took on this role has, again, been super impressive and just really proud of her.
Shauna, Lombard, she's been shooting the ball really well during league play. Wanted to get your thoughts just on Purdue in general.
Yeah, they're another. I said this about Northwestern. I know, and we never take anyone. We understand this league. We understand everyone is good. I mean, Northwestern doesn't have a win, and they were up 16 points on ranked Minnesota with 6 minutes left in the game before us. They probably should have beat Indiana the previous game. Purdue's the same way. Purdue has a lot of really talented players with, Lombard being one of them. And so this is a dangerous team. And we haven't, the last 2 times we played them, we've lost to them. So I have not beaten them in my time here. So there's we're not taking this team. I don't care what their record is. Everyone in the Big Ten is a capable team, and they have a lot. Like I said, she's one of them. Just a dangerous player that can score at all 3 levels, shooting the 3 at a high level, gets to the rim, scores in the mid-range. We really have to do a great job on her and be able to really, I think the physicality, we need to be really, really physical with her and try to neutralize her early to not give her any confidence, especially, again, in that first battle, that first quarter.
Shauna, you said that the other night that, you thought what was happening for Corey Allen at Northwestern was going to happen because her last 2 days of practice. Just what has gone right for her in this sophomore year that really allowed her to have a better year? And she implied that there might have been a confidence problem her freshman year.
I just think any freshman, it's a lot of confidence. Everything's so new, and expectations, standards, the intensity of everything. My demand to defend, the demand to play with high energy. I mean, it's a lot as a freshman when you can just go into most high schools, you can go into practice and you're the best player, and you just don't have those standards. So I think she's finally understood that, and like I told you the other night, she had 2 of their better practices, and what I mean by that is just energy, intensity, defending, locked in, really seeing the floor, a more calmness to her. So I think that, again, someone that's, use this should be an opportunity for someone like Corey to, she's getting these minutes. Now, what are you going to do with them? And the other night she was really, really productive. So that's going to lead to more minutes, more confidence between her, confidence that I have in her. And then the confidence and trust also is developed in practice. And that's where she's just been much, much more consistent in terms of what she brings every day.
Along those lines with Corey, she's listed as a guard. I'm pretty sure she's a guard, but she plays the 4 for you at times, and she had 11 rebounds. Like, what's that versatility when you have such a short bench kind of allow for you?
Yeah, that's what is awesome about really all these guys. We've just kind of thrown them in different positions, and they've all just accepted it, and like, they're not they just learning it. Like Corey's playing point guard. She's literally plays 1 through 4 for us. And what I've been talking to her about, and I said this to Matt the other night after the game, how do you impact winning, right? Like, what are you doing to impact winning every single time you're out there? So I don't need that to be, 15 points. If you give me 15, that's great. But rebounding, defense, the intensity, the energy, diving for loose balls. That's how you can impact winning and get more minutes. And that's where I think she's finally taken an understanding to that. And for her to go out there and have the rebound she did, her defensive consistency is much better, and she's just playing really, really hard. When you do that, like, for me, I give my guys the answers to the test. Like, it's very black and white of how you can play here. If you play really hard, you defend and you rebound, and you do the little things, I'm going to find you minutes to play. And I think that she's now accepted that, doing that, and making an impact on winning.
Coach, how much of that ability to handle adversity would you attribute to the leadership of Kendall Bostic, and is that kind of enhanced with the injuries and the shortened roster?
I think, with KB and all of our seniors, and especially, our whole senior group, they're just so determined. They know it's different when this is your last year. They have 0 eligibility years left. I wish they had more, but they've used them all. So they understand that, and they're just like, okay, nothing is messing up my senior year. And I tell that every year. I say that to our seniors. I use another word in there, but I say don't let anyone up your senior year. Was that the PG version of it? Because it's your senior year. You can't let anything mess it up. No distractions, no excuses, no injuries, whatever it is. Like, you got 1 year left, and make sure everyone's doing what they need to be doing. Make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing. And I think those seniors are they're really embracing just day to day and being really present, and they're just having a lot of fun and joy playing the game right now. And that's fun to coach. So this senior group we've been through a lot in our 2.5 years, and I think those 2.5 years has prepared them to kind of handle some of this adversity and be great leaders through it all.
Shauna, not only do you lead the conference in free throw shooting, but you also top 5 in the conference in getting to the free throw line. Just how much of a key has that been, and an emphasis maybe for you as with the maturity of this group?
No, it's been huge this year, and it's been something that we kind of thrive on and accepted as our identity. We've kind of found ways. Every year has been a bit different, right? Our first year we shot the 3 at a high level. Last year not as much. Now this year, we're not shooting as many and or as high percentage, but how are we manufacturing points? We're defending at a high level, holding teams to not that many points, and then we're getting to the free throw line. Yeah, I think I saw. Yeah, we're top in the conference, and we're top, I think, 15 in the country at free throws made a game. So you got to find ways each and every year, each and every game of how can you manufacture points. And especially right now, you don't just lose those 2 caliber players with 20-some points apiece, and Makaira could go off any night for 20, and Gretchen as well. So we're having to be very intentional with how we're playing, the plays we're running, and then manufacturing points in any way possible. And right now, that has been through the free throw line.
Have you been more intentional about getting back into Phoenix, even though you're down in numbers? It seemed like at Northwestern that no matter who got the ball off the glass, you were just going. There was no outlet pass.
No, we were really, really sharp in Phoenix at Northwestern. And, we've had great success in transition against Northwestern in our time. And we were, continuing to just remind our guys and emphasize that Phoenix is a weapon when we utilize it to be one. And when we're defending and getting stops and rebounding clean, then that's the steps in it. So, yeah, we couldn't get it out, into Michigan State because we weren't getting as many stops. They're getting layups. But those other games, Indiana, it was working well. Iowa, I think we've actually really cleaned it up in the last couple weeks and kind of got back to who we are in Phoenix. There's going to be, though, times, and I've said this now with kind of where we're at in our depth, maybe in the fourth we're going to be a little bit more selective in the fourth, especially in a tight game, of when we want to run, when we want to push that, and then when we want to just run offense. And that'll be more kind of depending on the time, score, and the situation.